Good afternoon, and welcome to our live wildlife, wildlife and One Health live for the month of May. Thank you for watching, and if you share this live so that more people can reach to it. And as usual, when we get to the trivia question, do not feel. Let us know where you're watching us from, and say hi.
And also, if you have any questions about any of the topics that we cover today, do comment those. Will be comment section as this live progresses. So, my name is Max, and I'm one of our two educators here at BWRC.
My name is Gian. I'm also an educator.
And I'm Dr. Is. Thanks so much for
Right. So I think start off this live. We have we are very excited to share that we've selected two of our many strong applicants for our upcoming One Health and Wildlife Fellowship. Sorry, Wildlife and One Health. So these two individuals, both males, younger females from here in Belize, will be joining us for a period of 12 months, kind of shadowing a bit of everything that we do here at BWRC, learning a bit about every aspect of all that we do. And yeah, it's going to be a hopefully very insightful experience. So we're really thankful to the Government of Canada, the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, as well as the Protected Area Conservation Trust, for selecting us for this program and for helping us to make vision become a reality. So some of the fields that these fellows are going to be learning about over the next 12 months, just for some examples, will be wildlife health and rehabilitation, veterinary and clinical skills, zoonotic diseases and One Health, laboratory and diagnostic techniques, as they will be helping us look at samples here. And then they will also be joining Gian and myself in the environmental education and outreach side, as well as our office staff to learn a bit more about conservation and geo operation, kind of the backbone of how it all works for RC. So we're really looking forward to bringing them on board, hopefully within the next month. And additionally, at the end of their 12-month fellowship program, fellows will be going back to their respective communities and heading some sort of environmental or wildlife outreach effort. Some examples would be perhaps they could go back and do cleanup campaigns, tree planting campaigns, but really up to them as individuals and what direction they want to take it and what they see as the need. So we're really looking forward to working with them, and sure we'll be roping them in for one of our future lives. So you guys will all get to meet in person as well over the camera.
And I'll just show the trivia once again, Max, because it looks like muted and
Oh,
music played while trivia was on. I fixed it already though, so let's check them out one more time. And Yeah, you might have seen it already, but feel free to answer if the answers to any. So, question number one says, name three endangered species, or any species found in Belize that are classified as endangered. And number two is hantavirus considered to be of high pandemic threat? Why or why not? Right. So, answer um, preferably before we talk about these, because this would be some of the questions that we will be topics that we will be talking about today. So let's see those comments coming in. And as usual, if you're wrong, Kyle, you can come and pass. You always have a little trivia question, right? So thank you very much. All right. So up next on our agenda is to talk a little bit about um, endangered species, but I think no one has commented as yet. But just to start with a little overview on endangered species, right? We have what we call the IUCN Red List. IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and basically they have a database where they do assessments, right, along with different scientists and researchers. They do assessment on status of and then um, based on their population, their growth, they assess and they give status to it, right? And you have anything from least concern, vulnerable, to threatened, to endangered, and then the highest level there of endangered would be of vulnerability per se would be critically endangered, right? Um, then from there we have extinct, right? Extinct in the wild, or different versions of extinct. Where that means already that uh, species is no longer um, so endangered species, of course, are vital for a number of reasons. They serve sentinel species, a word that refers to canaries in a coal mine. We're talking that if there would be any danger, they would put a little bird in coal mine that serves as a warning, right, for any danger. Um, if these species disappear, it is more likely that an entire ecosystem that maintains them under high pressure, and they will they'll simply be the first one to respond to these impacts, right? So these very critical species, they tell us a story about their environments, about ecosystem, how that is maintained, right? And of course, as if you take out one species out of that ecosystem, unbalancing. Of course, all animals are crucial for preserving biodiversity and maintaining the intricate web of life. When one is removed from that ecosystem, all those services that they provide to the ecosystem get removed, and such they suffer as a right. So no one has commented yet on endangered species that you may know in Belize. But let's look at some pictures of a few endangered species that I put here, and let's see if right. So we have a monkey species there, endangered. Have a parrot species, another parrot species, or national animal, which say those ones again. Everybody knows they're endangered. Not list of endangered afterwards.
Just as a little hint and bonus points, if you can get this one, we do have one critically endangered species here in Belize,
Yes.
and we do have quite a number of endangered. So wildlife conservation is important for, keeping these species out where they belong. And we actually work with two amazing organizations to protect two of these. that are on this. So, further hint, one of those species would be Be Free or the Belize Foundation for Research and Environmental Education. And another would be FCD, working right here in the Cayo district, the Friends for Conservation and Development. So if you guys know either of these groups, you might know the species that they work with. They are on this talking about now.
Right. So let's give them a little bit of time, and we move on to other scheduled items. Do comment if you know, including that critical index number one. Right. So up next, we do want to remind you all we already have a date for our conference, or Wildlife Ambassador Program Conference. That will be October 3rd at the San Ignacio Resort Hotel. Right. So if you are a current ambassador or previous ambassador, then you are automatically invited. Invitations for pre-registration coming months, but do save the date. It would be we don't necessarily have a time, but usually it's like or something like this. So yeah, save the date, and parallelly, our it's currently open nominations for Wildlife Hero Awards. We only have few nominations as yet, right? So we do want some more nominations, so go through the process of voting and uh, choosing um, few of our Wildlife Hero Award for.
Guys, last year we had 5 wildlife heroes. They all were celebrated for what they do for wildlife and their communities thereby. We had some great prizes for them too, I might add. So, if you guys know anyone that goes above and beyond for wildlife, nominate. And you can nominate yourself as well. We have posted that nomination link into the comments section, so you guys can go ahead, or you can scan the QR code on this the way it works. So yeah, who tell us who you see as a wildlife hero.
Right.
So the next topic that we have for you guys today is just a little snippet on why it's important to invest in health. And I'm going to start this topic actually by sharing a quote from Dr. Emmanuel Soberan, the General Director of WOA, or the World Organization for Health. So this great organization actually released a publication recently. You guys can go and find it on their website as well. But kind of just looking at what could happen if we do invest in animal health and what is happening with the level of. So it's a really important topic. Again, guys, this ties into the One Health approach. Our health, the health of the animals around us, and the health of our environment are all very much interconnected. So it's a really important topic to, understand animal health and understand how we can uh, raise that bar. So, and I think we can all think of some big risks that animal health brought to us, COVID-19, for example. So while that is a big part of, or a big effect on public health, about, I believe, 75% of emerging diseases these days do come from animals and are transmitted to us as they are zoonotic diseases. But only about 0.6% of world health spending does go towards. So little spending puts all of us at a very dangerous risk when something that could easily be mitigated. It puts us at risk of cross-boundary disease transmission, different diseases making it into places where we wouldn't have expected them before. It puts us at high risk of food insecurity, and it even does, like I mentioned, heighten the risk of potential future pandemics. This underfunding does affect the health of animals worldwide. So yeah, the cost of inaction in this case would far outweigh the cost of that we would face for prevention of these by investing a bit more into this animal. about 20% of animal production every year is destroyed due to preventable diseases. And developing countries like ourselves here in Belize do face the majority of that risk. We are underfunded. We do lack proper monitoring systems, and both of these things would go a long way in preventing the emergence of diseases, protecting our food security, and protecting our own health as well. So yeah, these are countries that it affects where animal production does ensure people's livelihoods as well. We have a large number of people relying on this for their daily bread. And as I mentioned before, it's a huge risk to 20% might not sound like a lot, but that's one out of every five animals get. If we can do anything to kind of get people to up the funding of these systems, it would be a great step forward for public health. And so better surveillance would really improve our ability to detect emerging diseases and to detect them early enough to stop them in their tracks before they can do devastating damage like we've seen in pandemics of the past and even cases that are happening right now as we speak. So we might go a bit more into that here in a bit, but this money is being spent in many other ways when prevention could really save us a lot in the longer run. Investing a bit into these monitoring systems, and investing in upping the standard of animal health to an international standard. So then meeting these international standards in every country across the world, guys, would cost only 0.05% of what COVID-19 cost us in 1 year alone. So that would be upping these systems. I won't say permanently, but it would get us all up to the international standard, and that would greatly improve our detection ability and prevention ability. And yeah, it's just a fraction of the expense that we'll face if these things do come to pass. So this case, prevention is really so much better and so much cheaper than cure. So it's just something that we wanted to draw a little bit of attention to. Again, the World Organization for Animal Health has a great article on this topic, so you guys can feel free to check out their website. If I can find it right now, I'll actually put the link to that in the comments. But very important topic for public health, food safety, animal health, and One Health.
One little thing there to add is that just under that article there was of numbers on highly pathogenic influenza. As here, the numbers are on screen. The four countries have reported outbreaks, 2,121 outbreaks across the world, 20 million cases, 140 million animals lost, either dead or killed because they're exposure. Then most of these killed because of containing that. So very interesting information from Wa.
And guys, WA is a great website to check out. They do publish a lot of news about different outbreaks across the world. So if you are at all interested in animal health, I would highly recommend checking out their website and going through some of those articles and listing figures. So that's that on the importance of investing in animal health, which takes us over to our next topic. I'd like to want a little update on our current construction progress.
Sure. So, more positive note, are going good. We have amazing process on phase two of the construction of permanent clinic facility. The team has been doing great work and is actually ahead of schedule. Really nice. So they were supposed to be finishing the foundation, but the foundation passed right before. And the walls are going up, and I'm peeking outside, and we already have beams and they're over the beams. Really, really great progress that they have for.
I do believe that as we speak, we're watching these guys lay the final level of bricks. So very
Yeah,
excited.
so cool. And oh, there's our trivia questions again. Still haven't answered. So the questions remain, guys. Name three endangered species that are found in Belize. And number two is hantavirus pandemic threat. Why or
We actually do have one answer. No, we do have an answer for both questions from
excellent.
Micah Noise. So very, very close, Micah. Micah answered that three endangered species would be the jaguarundi, the scarlet macaw, and the tapir. I will tell you that you have two out of those three correct, though I won't tell you which. So
Okay, good one. All
just to
right.
make it a little interesting, you can feel free to edit your comment or comment again and give it a next try. No problem at all.
He also answered on hantavirus. He says hantavirus is not a pandemic threat because it is usually not transmitted. It caused panic, but our situation and was relatively.
Very good. And we will be going a lot more into hantavirus here in our next sections. So
Right.
we'll
And actually, if you have questions, do put them on the comments. We have Dr. Isabel here in a bit talking about hantavirus. So if you have some questions for her, for us, put them on the. Lisa has a birds, armadillo, parrots, scarlet macaw. Right. So again, actually, well, we need to be a little bit more specific. Parrot, Julissa. Um, but we count as one of the parrots being endangered. But one of your answers is correct. So I'll do like Max and say that I won't tell you which one.
right, which takes us on over into our next topic. We will be looking back at this trivia again and going through you guys' comments again. So if you have any ideas, feel free to comment them and we'll be reading those as we go. So next up, I'd just like to talk a bit about our outreach activities in the last month. So it wasn't quite as hectic with outreach as last month. Last month they had us here, there, and everywhere, which was excellent and amazing. It was great to reach out to so many people. This month was a little bit slower, but we still did get out there. So we were really pleased to have been invited to visit St. Martin de Porres Primary School after we actually went and had a patient there that briefly brought to the clinic. We were able to return to the compound. A little more on that later. But yeah, it was great. We also had some of their teachers engaged in the Wildlife Ambassador Program trainings last year. So to reconnect with them was also a really good time. So we had a bunch of very curious students, I believe about 80 students. So might be a little off there, that's my estimate. But they were really eager to learn about wildlife and what we can all do to protect them. So that was excellent. And we also went out to Monkey Bay Wildlife Sanctuary here in Turnkaya District, where we did a wildlife ambassador program training, and that resulted in 20 new certified ambassadors. So that was also quite excellent, especially because these ambassadors came from different walks of life and had a great chance to connect with each. Much like the goal of our conference, this is a multi-sectoral approach. It comes to One Health. So getting people from different areas is really crucial. Um, so we did the training for Monkey Bay's personnel for their rangers there, but we also were able to reach out to some other individuals and get them involved, namely some students from both the University of Belize and University, as well as a ranger from Runaway Creek Nature Preserve, and three police officers from the Hattieville Police Department. So it was great to get all of them together there and kind of see the collaboration in action, as well as to educate them about the different topics under the program.
Zoo.
Oh, and
Spectacle
I'm
Zoo.
sorry,
Belize
sorry
Zoo.
to forget, but we also had several staff members from the Belize Zoo join us. So yeah, it was some great collaboration in that general area, you know, Monkey Bay, the Belize Zoo, Hattieville, they aren't too far from each other. So it was really nice to get three different groups that do depend on each other to come together for this trip. And not to mention the students.
Is one of our most multidisciplinary groups done together like that, right? That was really cool. From us.
And like I said, guys, it hasn't been that busy a month when it comes to our outreach activities. So that was about it for this month. But in our next live, you can look out for another. We'll have some other trainings upcoming.
All right. Up next, we have a small little. How is our nothing disease? Little time, and just to give a little update on the New World screwworm. Um, we got the latest um, numbers from Baja Animal Health Authority for screwworm. So we see we have a total of 1,042 cases for week 96. Um, Canine and bovine species continue to be among the highest animals that are affected. We also see that in terms of wildlife, we did have now on the dashboard there it says four howler monkeys. Fortunately, we also received one more patient that the sample probably has not been processed, but we think we now have a total of five howler um, with world school. Had one jaguar and one tapir so far that are affected by worm. And while Toledo up to date has been of higher number of cases, the most new cases or the newer cases that are arising these days we see from the Ohio district, from the Orange Walk, and bordering that Corozal district there. Right, so those are where the most of those new cases. There's 15 new cases for this week. Right, so well, so this week the traffic was. Right, so those are updates for um, New World Screwworm as we know it. Right. Up next, we'll be talking about a little bit on hantavirus. So we have Dr. Isabel who will be joining us for a little bit of a question and answer, like how we did last time, for what was the um, leishmaniasis, right? So if you also have questions, you are open to comment. Any questions that you might want to know.
Order.
Or comments on YouTube. All right. So, Dr. Isabel, let's start off with what is
The virus was very much zoonotic disease. Very severe, unspecific.
So you mentioned that it is a zoonotic disease. So could you tell us a bit about which animals would be carriers for this disease?
Mainly, it's rodents, different mice, linked rodents find a lot of food transmitted by aerosol dust. That's
And you mentioned that it comes from droppings in urine as well. Okay. So what the main methods of transmission would that being aerosolized?
for contact. So that's from animal. Also different number also first for the is dropping up and dust. Dangerous way to consume it.
All right. So based on that information, well, let me ask the question that a lot of people have been wondering, I'm sure. Is hantavirus something that we should panic over? Is this going to be the next big pandemic?
No, we should never panic anyways, regardless of what it is. But yeah, no, good question, great question. So the answer. And Hunter definitely outbreaks like that are very serious. But it's very contagious, as in it takes direct contact extended period. But it very much not like would indeed add it and adding it.
Um, so what would some, I know that you already mentioned a little bit on this, what would some common symptoms of hantavirus?
That's one of the problems is that it is very unspecific. Starts with fever, aches, chills, just as any flu, and then progress days pulmonary is ache and leading to that case. What
Yes. And you had mentioned that the important distinction there is that most hantaviruses not communicate. Um, so you kind of answered it is considered very serious, although it does not spread easily. And that is just because it can develop into something pretty rough to manage
yes,
for
that's
individuals.
correct. Because so the thing rate, if you get it, the dying, frankly speaking, and it's good to know about. Good to know how it could be affected, potentially prevent getting contact.
Um, Okay, so just on to the next question. If you are dealing with these species that can be carriers, say you have a mouse or rat infestation, I'm assuming that the best method of cleaning that up is not to go with a vacuum cleaner and aerosolize it all over the room, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Yes, that go leaping
Okay.
also was an outbreak, a different outbreak, where it's one more.
Oh wow.
So where there are lots of rodents and rodent urine, it's better to chlorine and water, mopping, and wearing masks. Simple. So many be inhaled by that from dusting.
Guess we have one last question on hantavirus. That would be, what are the big mistakes that people make trying to deal with rodents?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a loaded question. And I kind of want to focus on people prevent rodent peddling is not having any practice is usually so that the animal to be met, as well as debris pile and offer. So managing the rodents' food source rather than waiting for the rodents to then be there, that mistake would be reasoning rodent, but many. But it and if food source and approach rodent we have enough.
Right? Very interesting. Let's just check the comments. Any
No questions so far, but last time, but I did went ahead and put C and from World Health Organization. So you can check that out if you want to know more, read about it, keep up with the updates. There's always these dependable websites that you want to check out for.
and we did have that one reply to our trivia question from Micah Noise, saying hantavirus is not a pandemic threat because it is usually not transmitted as the ship caused panic, but a similar situation already happened in Argentina and it was relatively. So you would agree with that
Yes,
statement?
yes.
Very good. You've got that one perfect, Micah, but we just are looking for one more answer.
That
Yeah.
comment actually says she's changing manatee instead of jaguar.
Okay.
That would make them all correct. So the manatee is species, so it's scarlet macaws and the tapir. Dangerous species, I think Julissa fixed well. I see armadillo parrots said yellowhead parrot, tapir, and collared peccaries. Yellowhead parrot and tapir are endangered. Collared peccaries. So close still, Julie. Thank you so much for your. We also have Ameri, one of our interns. She said yellowhead parrots, collared macaws, howler monkeys. Those are correct. I have Ashley Neal who says polar monkeys call it makati are indeed. And we did mention about the critically endangered species of Belize that would Central America, commonly known as the kati. Right. So very good answers, everyone. Thank you so much for participating. Um, let's see what's next.
And shout out to Miss Ashton as well for being part of our latest cohort who is trained at Monkey Bay,
Ah,
who is
right.
now a certified ambassador.
For watching.
All right, well, that kind of covers Hantavirus topic, but I know that there's another zoo that we're all keeping a bit of an eye on. Is there anything that you'd like to make about Ebola, Doctor?
Yes, I wonder. I heard about Ebola is another one of zoonotic diseases, but it is contagious, very much so. Spreads from um, it serious for human. Why Ebola is definitely a concern, and as some of our audience may have found the recent break Central Africa was quickly global health emergency by the and for the reasons that by the time that this was detected, it was already presumed much larger um, because it was detected late. There are about 1,000 confirmed cases of the disease, which globally speaking is smaller now. And again, I guess the statement should contain that we are not concerned that this turn into global COVID did, but it remains very much under observation. And the next few months will show how well control measures will work. Concerns about this outbreak are that similar to Hantavirus, Ebola virus has different virus versions, and this is an outbreak with a version against which there is no vaccine. Really, no cure for those. There was an Ebola outbreak that made international news very much. That was a different variant that could vaccinate. It was severe, killed 1,000. But this one now remains under say continued observation. There are currently no cases North America gathered out Africa. So as Belizeans, again, it's just something to maybe hear about and be aware of, but we do not have COVID. If anybody has any questions or comments, certainly no Ebola expert, but whenever these outbreaks happen, I do try to follow up.
Yeah, it's definitely keeping an eye on. That is terrifying that it is one that does not, there's no vaccine. Like relatively less.
Yeah, one big difference to COVID is that people will get very sick before they spread. Much easier um, to quarantine and isolate. Is it COVID again? People would spread the virus, and in this disease, very quick, severe clinic contain the spread a little.
Thank you for the
Yeah,
insights
yeah,
into our
yeah.
current zoonoses topics.
And once again, I also have some on a pandemic. All right. So for a little bit of a brighter note, let's talk about animals. And let's see our intakes for the month of May. We have been very busy. I think yesterday, yesterday has been my only day without any hotline emergency calls. Although throughout May, we're receiving a bunch of different, yeah, knock on wood. But very interesting patients as well. Nice stories. We've seen the public really uh, hearing and calling and wanting to help a lot. For example, we had a baby howler monkey with neural screwworm. So that's worm that came from around the what would be Herman's Park area. It was reported by the Audubon and brought it up to the Belize Forest Department, helped us with patient, and then brought it. And unfortunately, it lost tail. Um, how is it?
She's doing reasonably well. So the tail end is, but it was several days old. Rather gruesome injury, and I was very concerned. But he developed into a strong, opinionated little monkey. The tail is currently healed now, so I hope we have. Many years ago, a monkey also, as many of our viewers may know, Holler tail has a fifth limb. So I had one case that, again, at a young age, and adapted so well, learned to jump better than it went to freedom. He has a chance for survival, but hope in the future.
Right. So we also had another baby howler monkey from Argentina that came. Um, he was found on the floor, and um, yeah. So we have two baby howlers and getting them strong. And we did receive an endangered yellow-headed parrot, what deformed foot. So here's one of our of endangered species and what we hopefully covers and back into the wild. And we had two olive-throated parakeets, smaller monkey. Um, two olive-throated parakeets are the smallest Amazon parrots. One of them was found grounded, injured, um, Shaw Creek Lodge. And the Shaw Creek called Belize Raptor Center. Belize Raptor Center let us know, and they brought it in for us. And then the second one was from Orange Rock, all about night infestation. We that they also had injured wing. Thanks to BBR, Belize Bird Rescue for helping. We had four squirrels coming in, a bunch of babies. It's baby season. Four squirrels coming in. One from Benke Riverside. People out at the river. They called us, "Hey, baby found in the ground. Um, guys, come for it." So Max over. We have a social flycatcher that um, was brought in from so many animals that I sometimes I lose track of them. However, he was doing really good. I think he was from Benke as well, and was transferred to PR. He had an ambassador in action story. Um, Shout out to Mr. Alvin Brown, who is a tour guide ambassador. Um, he brought in. He called me about injured barn owl. He found it at the bottom of the car, and he was scared that he um, knocked it over or something like that. However, we when we brought it in, we saw was wing injury. He was wing might have been like an older injury, and that's what barn owl was down on the right. But it's great to see our ambassadors in action. Italy, he said 45 minutes and in 25 from Billy White Village. So thank you very much for help,
And
ambassadors.
you guys can see he's utilizing one of our favorite tools here at BWRC. He's putting his training to use and he safely secured this barn owl with help. To show you that you don't always need the fanciest equipment to help out wildlife. But of course, always remain. Call the professionals. Call us here at BWRC if you're ever in doubt about it.
Continue there. We have a bunch of intakes. We had a not necessarily an intake, but a very excited patient coming in. We had an unbanded orange-breasted falcon brought in by Lee's Raptor Center for X-ray. This was original from Maya Center. They called in. So as you know, this is a very rare bird. A lot of effort. We had five juvenile coatis brought in yesterday from the Belize Zoo. Had one more coming in from Plus. They're taking care of it while um, brought it up clinic. Have a bunch of little coatis. We had six just yesterday. Um, yeah, good timing because then coatis. Those coatis are social. They exist in groups, so it help greatly improve the to release them together as a right. So to slide through some of our patient pictures, I didn't put them in order, so a few was Max goes over the releases for this month.
Yes, like we've had a whole bunch of intakes this month with such a busy baby season. Also, had a lot of really heartwarming releases, some of them having been patient with us for almost 2 years in one case. Some of them some pretty long term, but others were babies that got old. And yeah, it was a good month for releases as well. So our first release of the month was a small crocodile that you guys might have. He was actually kept as a pet for, I believe, here. But of course, these animals are not meant to be in captivity. That really slowed down his growth and made that process. He was a bit emaciated when he came in. So after we had him for a while, he was, I believe, months. He started gaining some weight, started growing a bit, and he was deemed ready for release. So if you guys want, you can go onto our Facebook feed. Might have to scroll back a little bit, but you'll see that release video. Such a beautiful. Um, had so far this month 11 opossums released. It seems as we release them, more come in, but 11 of them being released is heartwarming to all of us here at BWRC, giving them a second chance out in the wild where they. And these are common conflict species, but remember, guys, they do provide some vital ecosystem services, and they definitely don't deserve the hate that they. So it was great to see 11 of these guys get wild. We had a fairly rare patient for us here at BWRC, at least, a northern black mastiff bat brought in from Santa Elena by Miss Roxy Lemos. So thank you, Roxy, as well as Mr. Umberto from the zoo for bringing by for us. After he was brought in, because he was found kind of in the middle of the road on the ground, which is usual for a bat under circumstances. But after a good health check, he was given a clean bill of health and released shortly thereafter by our great volunteer, Mr. Craig Gay. We had a emaciated young green iguana that the team at the Green Iguana Project at San Ignacio Resort Hotel had come across. It was, like I say, a juvenile one, and that one was actually just released yesterday. So if you guys go onto our Facebook feed, you can find that video, another beautiful video of getting back to where he belongs and swimming off upriver. That was another really nice one to see. We had a young white-winged dove come to us, and upon being fully fledged, he was given a health check, and we saw a clean bill of health, so he was released back up in Kaya, where he came from. I mentioned this case earlier briefly, but from St. Martin de Porres Primary School, they called us because the students had actually found a bird on the ground. So when we went, we observed that it was a pale vented pigeon, one of our slightly more common pigeons, but it was grounded and it was quite obviously a fledgling. So we were able to intervene there and give him a good health check. Quite all right. He was full of health. And then Gian actually was able to go and renest this fledgling pigeon. So you can see that he's putting it right back into the same tree at the primary school. Mother was right there nearby. You can see in this case that just a box, dry season, we didn't have to worry about rain. So just a box was used, attached to two sticks to kind of get something up there in the tree bird. And the mother came right back to tend to him. And that just goes to show you that, even if a baby bird is on the ground, if we intervene, people like to say that the mother will smell our scent and won't come back, won't care for the baby. Their maternal instinct is a lot stronger than that, guys. That's not really something that you have to work. So it was a great renesting. We actually spoke to some of the students and staff there, and they said that they could see him out in the trees with the mother in the days following, and yeah, it seems like he successfully fledged and out there being a wild pigeon where he belongs. And this actually resulted in us going to St. Martin for his school and giving that presentation that I. So it was a win-win situation. We got to save the pigeon, get him back to where he was initially from, alongside the mother. And we also got to go out and share our knowledge with the students and some of the staff of St. Martin de Porres. So it's great to have partners so nearby that know who to call when they see trouble. Great to see. Um, Another awesome bird patient that we had this month was this beautiful golden hooded uh, tanager. It was banded by trees, but actually brought in because they observed that it had a ruptured air sac. But after a couple days, I believe, plus he completely healed, the wound closed up, and he was released. So again, another beautiful bird um, that was able to return out to the wild. And last but not least, we have the news of one of our longtime patients transferred. And though that's not to say that the job is done by any means, it's not there. He's not quite there for by a long shot. But we did have George, the Howler Monkey from Georgeville, transferred up to our partners up at Wild Trucks, who run a simply amazing primate rehabilitation center, one of the most successful, if not in Central America, I might add. So it was great to see Georgia be transferred to a place where he has the best possible chance of survival and reintegration. But yeah, those were our releases for this month, and I'm sure we'll have plenty more to update you guys with next month. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna look through the comments time, I think.
While we're at that, just say our final gratitude to all of guys. This month has been very, very hectic. Um, and we have had three of our given interviews text. We had Natalie, Vivian, and Amari. Three of them working this month hard, very hard in the um, peak of the baby season and just helping out. So thank you, girls, for helping out. We also have Miss Jen McKnight, who comes in 1 day a week, every week. So thank you very much, Miss Help and everything. Um, Craig Hayer, also our longtime volunteer. He also supports us. Um, Babies as well. We also want to thank all our donors and sponsors. We just got in some donations from Chalk Creek Resort. So thank you very much for that donation. Nick Fleming uh, brought in some tables, some nice chairs, extra chairs, a big cabinet. You might so that helps us with a lot of the things that we had back there just piled up in a. Thank you very much for those. Um, but we'll be posting about other little donations that are also coming in. Um, yeah. Thanks to all the callers and transporters. It is very hard task of finding transportation every time for moving animals from one place to the next. Thank you very much for all those people who are willing and able to bring um, for proper care. Thank you. Yes, Belizeing.com. Thank you very much to that organization who chose us recipients of their charity initiative for this year. Every year, I understand that they an initiative to help out of across Belize. Reach out to us, wanting to know a little bit of more information what we do, and thankfully their team uh, approved us. Belize.com and Um, yeah, so that would be it, guys. I think that is our closure. I will just mention the conference once more. I'll put that on screen October 3rd, right at the San Ignacio Resort Hotel. We'll have a lot of networking happening. You will meet other ambassadors if you are ambassador. We have more presentation, and of course, our Wildlife Hero Awards will be happening. Or if you have a nomination, but screenshot it and afterward. With that, guys, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching our live for today. Went over 4 minutes, but thankfully you're still with us. And, yeah, it says, how can one become volunteer? We have a little comment there. You're always welcome. Belizeans are welcome to volunteer for free. And just shoot us an email to BZ Wildlife Clinic, and we attach your CV and a little letter as to why you want to volunteer, and we'll get back to you. Awesome. Just reach out to us and guide you. Thank you very much, and join us next month for another one of our month wildlife and one health live. And yeah,
Everybody, next month.